Welcome back to another episode of Rob and Ava's Ramble, where we ramble about various stuff. Seemingly lately, a lot about relationships.
We have a lot of experience.
With each other.
Yeah, a lot of years of experience.
If you're looking for dating advice, we're probably not the best people to ask. If you're looking for married advice, we're doing pretty good in that department.
We know how to be married, so therefore, we have some insight into dating.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it translates.
Maybe you feel more confident about that than I do.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Anyways, but let's talk about something different. I feel like we've just so many of these recent episodes we've been doing here, just all been relationship stuff, and
Ooh, so you have a lighter topic for us today?
It probably won't be a lighter topic. Okay. There seems to be we're either talking about politics, marriage/relationship stuff, or guns. So I thought maybe we talk about guns today. I mean, that's still a controversial topic.
Yeah,
but it's one I kind of enjoy talking about. So, I just recently got you we had an anniversary earlier this month.
We did.
We had a wedding anniversary. And I bought you what for your anniversary?
A SIG X Comp 10X Comp.
Yeah, P320 X Comp.
X Comp, yeah.
Yeah, which is a 10 mil.
Oh, right. I forgot the P320.
Yeah, which is surprising because you're kind of all about your P320s.
Well, yeah. I just assumed. It is what it is. That's what I like.
Yeah. So you're kind of a striker fire girl. You like your SIGs. You like your Glocks. You seem to like your SIGs more than your Glocks.
I mean, they just feel better in the hand.
Yeah. But we've been doing more hiking and stuff as of late. I mean, we've always kind of been doing that off and on, but we've been trying to get more dedicated about it. And I wanted to get you a different, backcountry woods pistol than you had been using. Mm-hmm. So we moved you up to this X10 Comp, which you haven't even had a chance to shoot yet. So we need to get out and do that. It hasn't actually seen any carry duty just yet.
No.
But I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Same.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of reviews.
You did watch a lot of reviews.
They say it shoots well.
They say it does. And they say the compensator actually works a little bit, which is, nice for a 10 mil.
Yeah. A little less harsh.
Yeah. So yeah. And we're not new to the 10 mil game. I've got, other 10 mils. We have, the standard kind of, Glock, 20, got a 40. I'm also kind of into the P220 10 mil. So
yeah, not
new, but I've been as of late for my, kind of backwoods gun is, the Glock, 20. It's pretty good. You're not losing a whole lot of velocity over the 40, and it's a lot more of a compact size to carry in that situation, which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
Not so heavy, not so bulky.
Yeah. So what do you, I guess let's maybe dive into this a little bit more controversially. Mm-hmm. What's better, SIG or Glock?
I mean, I think they're roughly the same. Are we talking about the striker fire or the hammer fire? I don't. I mean, hands down, the 226 is the king of all guns.
Yeah, so 226 you're about, which is one of my favorites. My standard carry is a 229, which is like a smaller variant of a 226 basically. It's a compact versus a full size. Yeah.
But for me as a female, I prefer the Glock or the SIG polymer because it's just a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
If I won't carry it, it's not a good gun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the best gun is the one that you're willing to carry and can shoot halfway decently.
Mm-hmm. They're simple. I know how to take them apart. I know how to put them back together.
Yeah, and there's no lack of reliability.
No,
with those platforms.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So define best, because best. The X5 Legion. That's a nice gun.
Yeah.
And the P320.
The P320. Yeah, I know. That's one of your favorite. Not a very good carry gun.
No. It's fun at the range, though.
It is a fun range gun. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I don't have any of those in my collection unless it's all my collection. But
it's all your collection.
I said unless it's all my collection. I don't know. I mean, you have yours, I have mine.
Yeah.
But it's marriage. It's all kind of intermingled, right? So, and most of your guns are guns that I probably bought you for one reason or another.
A lot of times because you actually want one of mine and we trade up.
That has happened before. Mm-hmm. That is a true story. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm kind of coveting that there. Are you looking for something new?
Yes. Works out for me.
Yeah. So you won't pick a favorite?
No, I don't have a favorite.
Yeah. I'd say for myself.
Wait. I like the brown ones.
You like the brown ones. Yeah.
I mean, functionally, I rank them about equal because I do the striker fire. So
yeah.
I mean, what's one over the other, really?
So like the FDE.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for myself, yeah, I'm kind of a SIG fanboy. I don't know if I'd say everybody has their favorite, right? For me, it's SIG. I like SIG.
Yeah.
And I do kind of also have this affection for very the larger caliber pistols as well.
Yeah, that's all you.
Yeah, I know you don't really play with those. Occasionally, I'll get you to shoot one of the smaller, larger caliber.
I can and I will, but it's just not fun for me.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of those guns. That's what I always say about them is they're funny to shoot. They're not necessarily near that much fun after many rounds.
Yeah, that's the difference. Girl, boy.
Yeah, I know. Big boom.
Yeah. No, 10 mil is about as big as I want to go in a pistol.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of the when you get up into those larger calibers, brake calibers, yeah, calibers, they are they're revolvers a lot of times, right? There are some exceptions. You've got the Desert Eagle, which you can get in 50 AE, 44 mag, which are that's a heavy gun and it's softer shooting than like a 44 in a revolver, for example.
Yeah.
So those can make it a little bit more manageable.
Somewhat. You just can't take that long to aim, though. You got to throw it up, get your shot, and move on with it. It's just too heavy to keep up there.
Yeah, I just saw something, and I've seen this many times, and it just always angers the heck out of me when I see people do this. So I saw someone hand an individual, a woman, a Desert Eagle, to shoot, and which I think is fine. I mean, if a woman would like to shoot that gun, it has it's not the heaviest recoil gun out there by any means, but if you are not used to shooting those larger caliber, handguns, it's got a lot of kick to it, and there's been some pretty serious accidents people have had not being able to manage the recoil. So this video I saw was the individual handed the Desert Eagle over. They took a shot. They basically lost control of it, and there was almost like an accident, and thankfully there wasn't. But one of the things I noticed when they shot it was the slide didn't lock back. It chambered another round. So they not only did they hand this person this gun with really no real training or expectation or instruction on how they should hold it and what to expect, they had more than one round in it. And a lot these larger guns, sometimes people will jerk the trigger a second or third time trying to control the recoil. And, there's been incidents where, people have basically shot themselves trying to, because they shoot, it comes up, they're trying to control the recoil, they, jerk the trigger again, and there you go. They've shot themselves or somebody else inadvertently. Yeah. And it's just, you don't do that, man.
It's irresponsible.
It's very irresponsible. Yeah.
I mean, to put a Desert Eagle in the hands of anybody that's unaware of what it is, I think is irresponsible. Any larger gun, for that matter.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody who I ever let shoot any of those, pistols, especially for the first time, I put one round in it. I'm right there on their shoulder. I'm making sure they see me shoot it first, get an idea of kind of what they need to expect. And, in one round, the worst that happens in that case is they shoot the gun and they drop it. Right. Which is, that's not ideal, but is better than them shooting the gun and having a second round and going off and all those sorts of things. And, and that's just a Desert Eagle. You start getting up into some of these, 460s, 500s, right?
Yeah.
And
that's a no thank you for me.
You've got different barrel lengths and different recoils and those sorts of things. And those things can get pretty, Yeah. I've got one of my revolvers is a kind of a little shorter. It's like a 3 or 4 inch barrel 460, which is a cool, it's cool because you can shoot a 45 Colt, 454 Casull or 460 out of it. But I'll tell you what, you put some 460 in a gun like that and, not super fun. Right.
Yeah.
And that gun doesn't really have any practical application other than, it's people carry it for a bear gun. It's a kind of a smaller, gun you could chest carry or something like that and get to. And, it's got plenty of power and it's gonna be a really stout round. Should you need to shoot at a bear. And hopefully that doesn't happen to somebody.
Yeah.
But
hopefully not.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just I just speaking of there was just a incident in Idaho about a month ago, and some boys, I think it was about a month ago. Anyways, some boys were out. I think they were out hunting, and a grizzly basically came out. From nowhere, I don't know how, anybody happens to be listening to this, how much kind of experience they have kind of out in the backcountry and kind of understanding how these things can unfold. These bears sometimes will kind of, get themselves down into a hole or something. And they actually will cover themselves with brush. Right. And you can walk up on one and not realize it.
Yeah, I've heard they're very quiet when they walk in the woods too, because of the way
if
that
they
their
happen to be. And that is
are.
The last thing where people there's two ways, and I am by no means a bear expert, right? So don't anybody listen to me as some kind of super expert on bears, but just my kind of basic knowledge, and just awareness as we're kind of getting out into the backcountry is. There's two situations you need to be very wary of with bears. One is if a bear has a cub and getting yourself, in where you appear to be a threat to a cub, you're probably going to run into some trouble. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be with, brown bear or black bear. And then the other is actually sneaking up on a bear. And, so it's good to be making noise, especially if you're out in bear country and those sorts of things, right? You should try to make noise. We always, when we're out in these areas where that's a possibility, we try to talk, loudish.
We have those stupid bear bells.
Sometimes we'll do the bear bells, right? But, that is the sort of thing that can potentially keep you from being killed by a bear. So, what I started to say earlier is, so in this scenario with these boys, so the bear apparently had kind of gotten itself down to a hole, covered it up, whatever, and it just sounded like they just inadvertently walked up on it. The bear realized they were there, and the bear came out like immediately. He was on one of them.
Wow.
Or she. I don't know if it was a he or she bear. But the bear probably felt threatened. All of a sudden, there's somebody in its space, and it's like, oh, you're here to hurt me. I'm gonna hurt you back. And the thing that was really amazing about that is they shot the bear, I think it was 24 times.
Wow.
With a combination of 10 mil and 45 before they were able to stop the attack.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And thankfully there was more than one of them because, the individual who was being attacked basically had really no time at all to react.
Yeah, they're fast.
Yeah, he was on it and he was mauling him. So, the other boy that was with him, I can't remember if there was one or two boys that were with him. And he was just unloading 10 mil into the bear and it still wasn't immediately stopping the attack. And then I think at one point, the boy who was being attacked, and I'm saying boy, these are maybe like young men, late teens, something like that. And I think he had a 45 pistol on him that he was able to get out, and he got a shot or two off, at close range, I believe, if I remember the story correctly. And then, but he was pretty seriously injured. I mean, they stopped the bear, but by that time, it happens so quick, and they will maul you and cause serious injury. And so, he was basically, had a lot of damage to his arm, was bleeding out, and they were smart. They were able to use a belt, make a good enough tourniquet, try to stop the bleed, which is what you need to do in those situations, right? It's the most important thing, stop the bleed.
Yeah.
And, and then call in for help. And, they got help to him pretty quick. I can't remember if it was like by helicopter or something, but.
Yeah. Wow.
And in the end, it turned out okay. I mean, the kid, the young man, he's, healing up from his injuries. But, so that's kind of a long-winded way of saying, like, these sorts of things can happen.
Sure.
And, bear spray is not always going to be an option. Bear spray, bear spray can work.
Yeah, we carry that.
We do carry it. Yeah, I do carry it. And if there is opportunity, that would absolutely be my first preference, right? I mean, nobody's wanting to go out and just kill a bear for the sake of killing a bear, right?
No.
And if you have opportunity to use bear spray, but it's a very situational, if you have a charging bear, bear spray is not the first thing I'm picking up.
Yeah, I believe if they're charging, you're not even required to start with bear spray, are you?
Well,
if they're threatening you,
I think I don't even know that there's a requirement. I would say the requirement is the same as any gun incident, which is if your life is being threatened, then deadly force is authorized.
Yeah.
And so I think, a bear who's actively charging you and you just have, seconds to react because you see it coming.
Yeah.
A gun is what you're going to reach for, not bear spray, right?
Yeah.
But in other situations where maybe the bear is more, because that's not every scenario. Sometimes they may be sauntering up on you. They're kind of curiously checking you out, maybe, that sort of thing. And I think in those situations, bear spray makes a lot of sense where you can kind of just, but, having said that, it's also, it could depend. Like if the wind is blowing into your face, not going to be using bear spray.
Oh, heck no.
Because you're going to blind yourself. As soon as you spray it, it's going to come right back in your face. And now you're in double trouble because not only have you hit yourself with some extremely powerful pepper spray, if you do need to defend yourself, you probably can't see.
Yeah.
Right.
Not funny, but a little bit funny.
Yeah, well, that's happened.
Yeah.
That has happened to people. And so...
Let's try to avoid the bears.
Yeah, well, we try to make noise. That's our thing, right?
Yeah.
And we were out in Oregon a couple months back hiking and ran up on a bear. Kind of one of those situations where he was probably down in a hole, right? We weren't making enough noise. We came around. Thankfully, he was far enough away from us.
Yeah.
And maybe we made enough noise as we got close that, he let us know he was there. He made his presence, he or she, I don't know, known. Yeah. And so we just,
hurried right along.
Hurried along. That's right.
No more dallying.
Not looking for any trouble.
No.
So, but yeah, and there's a big difference between black bears and brown bears, obviously too. The brown bears can tend to be more aggressive, and I think I've never seen a polar bear in person.
No.
But yeah, I think those are the most aggressive.
Yeah. Well, we're not usually in their territory.
Yeah, we're not much in the Alaska area.
No.
We do want to go up this spring. We're talking about trying to pull a trip together there this spring.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, 10 mil. We think that's where it's at for bear. I mean, there's a lot of people 44, 460. Like I said, there's a lot of ways you could go. To me, for the type of stuff we're doing, dealing potentially with brown bear, we have mountain lions where we live too, right? I mean, a little less concerned about those, but they're out there. And, and brown bear, I think 10 mil is a good middle ground.
Yeah. And usually there's two of us, so. Yeah,
there's two. And there's, at least, sometimes, we'll have other people with us too, but it's enough. And you kind of get the added benefit of additional rounds, right? Because a lot of these 10 mils, as long as you're in a state that respects your rights, they'll be like 15 round magazines versus if you're carrying like a 44 mag revolver or something, you're going to get 6.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to be super accurate in those high stress situations.
Yeah.
And the more opportunities and trigger pulls you have, the more chances you have of kind of surviving the situation. So,
yeah. And I'm just slower with a revolver.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a revolver girl, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with practice you could get there, but
yeah, I don't desire to.
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what else beyond that? I mean, that's kind of outdoors. What about like self-defense? I mean, we're basically like 9mm, right? Kind of personal protection, standard carry. Yeah. I mean, we talked about a little bit about that already, but we're not like 40. We're not.
No, again, if I won't carry it, it's not the gun for me. And moving up much from a small 9mm, it just gets too heavy.
Yeah.
Or too bulky, or you end up having to dress like a street bum because like you just can't hide it.
A street bum, huh?
A street bum.
That's what. That's funny.
What?
That's what concealed carry for a woman takes to.
I mean, not necessarily.
Frumpy, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Yes, frumpy. If you're going to carry anything of size on your person, yes, you need to move into a little bit more of a frumpy. Or, a fanny pack, and then it's like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Smaller for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about from here?
How do you prefer to carry?
Oh, man. Prefer? I mean, I like chest rigs. I'd be perfectly happy rocking a chest rig in public.
Are you going to be that guy at the grocery store?
Yeah. The problem with that is not everybody sees it that way. And I can understand how that might seem a little intimidating. But to me, I mean, just in terms of like, what is the, optimal way to carry a gun? I think carrying on a chest rig right here, it's defensible, right? It's very easily accessible. I'm talking open carry, right?
Right. Yeah.
I know some people will argue, that like you don't want people to know you're carrying, and I'm not saying I disagree with that. I don't, but that also presents there's other challenges, right? Your firearm's not as accessible, it's not as defensible.
Like many things in life, there's no perfect answer.
Yeah, there's trade-offs to everything. So if you're just asking me what would be my preferred way to carry, I mean, that's how I would like to do it. But, socially, not really, socially acceptable. You're probably definitely going to get the cops called on you. Not that you would necessarily be doing anything illegal.
Yeah.
But, if somebody sees you walking into a store with a, chest rig and a gun in it, they're probably going to be like, something doesn't seem right with this guy. So, in light of that, I like in the waistband carry. I've been kind of doing more appendix carry these days, which I like. I mean, for standing up, it's the way to go. Honestly, it's pretty comfortable. It's very concealable, and it's also kind of defensible, right? Because I've got.
Yeah.
I've got, it's right here in front of me in my hands. I can see what's going on. Nobody's going to sneak up behind me and take it.
Strangers
like
shouldn't
that.
be going after your junk in public
Strangers
anyways.
should not be doing that. Yeah.
That's a definite red flag.
Right. But, when it comes to sitting down, not the most comfortable way to carry. And it kind of has the, if you have an accidental discharge, major consequences. Yeah. So, it's not without its risks. So, I think probably, even though I've been practicing, appendix carry more for a period of time, probably in the waistband on the hip it's probably the best blend of all worlds. It's comfortable whether you're standing or sitting. It's relatively accessible. It's not going to be as quick as appendix or chest carry or something like that, but it's it's there, and it's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
I really wish we could, open carry. I don't know how many people are aware, but open carry is legal in many, many states.
Yeah. Surprising number of states these days. Mm-hmm.
So, I personally would like to see open carry normalized more.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, and people are probably going to say, well, then why don't you open carry more, right? Like help kind of break the stigma. And I don't know if I have a good answer for that, other than it just freaks people out.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we should be inviting any more police interaction than we absolutely need to.
Yeah.
In the reality of that situation is that you could very well have the police called on you, and I would hope that the police are going to do the right thing, and they're going to handle the situation appropriately.
Yeah.
But we all know that does not always happen. And, the more opportunity you're putting yourself in for police interaction, whether you are in the right or the wrong, it's a risk, right? You could end up with a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And, you could end up shot.
Yeah.
And, that's not a situation you want to put yourself in. So
I don't enjoy open carry.
Yeah. I don't, yeah. I mean,
in the woods, fine, but
in the right situation. Understood. Yeah. Yeah, I think, but it is the most comfortable. And honestly, I that's why I say I would like to see it normalized, right? Because the reality is now not many people open carry. Lots of people are carrying guns. I mean, people, I think you would be, even in states where you think that may not be happening, I think you'd be surprised at the number of people that are still carrying guns. There are guns around you all the time. Yeah. And then especially when you get into states where it's, more open, more of I don't want to say a fact of life, but accepted, right? It's just like it's a more gun-friendly state. So, open carrying just freaks people out a little bit more. But I would like to see it normalized because it's a comfortable way to carry, and it's more comfortable than in a waistband, right?
Yes, physically comfortable. Yes, mentally not for me.
Yeah. But is that because it's not normalized?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to the grocery store and, 30% of the people in there are walking around with their firearm strapped to their hip, open carrying, like it's normalized, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you're not going to feel as worried that you're going to end up in some interaction. And it's not always even the police. I mean, there's some crazy Karens out there that might be like, oh my God, why are you carrying a gun? And they're in your face and they're trying to stupidly get themselves into a situation where they're threatening you, right? And we've seen those sort of things happen before. And you wisely, as the wise gun owner, even if those sort of things happen to you, if that person is not threatening your life, you need to turn and walk away, even if it hurts your ego, right? Yeah. Because sometimes they're just crazy people in the world, and you don't. Anytime if you end up having to shoot someone, whether in legitimate self-defense or not, it's going to be called into question, and you're going to be dealing with the situation. Yeah. Right. So, just best to avoid that all the way around. Yeah. But I think, if open carry was normalized, I think that'd be a good thing. And I think especially for women, especially more like petite women, because as you were kind of alluding to, one of the struggles is carrying as a woman is
looking cute at the same time.
Yeah, like kind of not having to dress in a frumpy way and, dressing in a way, and it'd be a heck of a lot easier to do if you just open carry on your hip, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I don't know.
There's, lots of ways that women try to tell you that it can be done, and I've attempted many of them, but it's just I don't feel like myself. I don't know. There's no perfect solution for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, normalizing open carry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we need a big national movement. Let's just normalize open carry.
Like open carry day.
Yeah.
Open carry
week. We used to. I mean, back, when we lived in Virginia at one point, and, we had lobby day there, and we would go, and, all the gun owners would come out, and, everybody was open carrying, right? Yeah. I mean, because it was about making legislators aware just how many people from all walks of life do own guns and carry guns, even though they're probably concealed most of the time, letting them know. And so there's a lot of purposeful open carry, and I don't know if anybody remembers back in January of like 2020 or somewhere back in there, there was the big kind of gun. I'm struggling for what word to call it. I mean, it was lobby day, but it had been kind of nationally promoted. It got on the radar because Virginia was looking at an assault weapons ban. And that got a lot of people fired up. They came in from all over the state. And, we had quite a big lobby day in Virginia. We were down there for that event. So if anybody's familiar with that, I think they put the official count at something like 20,000 people. But the reality was, and we were there, right? I mean, we saw they were using some funny math. And I think because, the legislature at the time was democratically controlled, which is not typically favorable of guns. And so I think they were trying to, and they were the ones reporting the numbers for the state. And what they had ended up doing was they put gates around the Capitol, if you recall. And then they had metal detectors and all these things set up, and they were not allowing people and in order to go in and see your legislature, which was the entire point of being there, because prior to this, we would go to lobby day and we would go into our state legislator building and we would talk to our legislators, and we were armed, right? People were open carrying, they were doing the things. But because there were so many people and they were hyping it up, there's this big threat of violence and all these other things going on, right? So they put gates around the Capitol.
Snipers. On the buildings.
Snipers on the roofs, all that stuff. Yeah, there's big police presence.
Yeah.
All that. And they made the people who went inside of the gates to actually talk to the legislators disarm themselves.
Right.
And, I think the kind of funny math that was going on there was when the state reported how many people came, I think they were reporting how many people were inside the gate.
Right.
Right. So they reported something like 20,000 people had shown up. Well, those are the people that were inside the gate. And if you were at that event, I've seen other estimates. People say it was like 80 to 100,000 people there. And I could believe that.
Yeah, the streets were packed.
The streets were packed. Yeah, like street after street after street were packed.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's
and
pretty
so
cool
were the coffee houses. It was cold that day.
It was cold that day, yeah. It was cold that day. Yeah. And so anyways, I don't know where I was going with that other than just to say that was like one memorable event where there was a lot of people, tens of thousands of people at a minimum open carrying. And, it was just, that's in my mind, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So, Biden signed some kind of executive order. I apologize that I've been so busy. I haven't actually gone to see what the details of it are, and that's very unlike me because I think it was like a day or two it happened. I just haven't had a chance to catch up.
Ooh, I'm out of the loop.
Yeah. There was some kind of it was some kind of gun control something, that like it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating the disregard, because I refuse to believe that a lot of these legislators don't understand our Constitution.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, maybe that's the case. And if that is very scary because no one should be in a high position of power in our country who does not understand our Constitution inside and out.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's more a willful kind of disregard of the Constitution to keep trying to do these things. And he's issuing an executive order, and what's going to happen is it's going to have to go through the courts. It will probably get overturned.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's stated that in the past. I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I will, and then I have to go through all the due process.
That had something to do with
I don't think it was weaponry.
It wasn't guns. It was I think it was like the moratorium on rent.
Oh, yes.
Or something like that, right? During COVID. And the Supreme Court basically kind of struck him down, and then he was like, okay, well, we're going to come at it from this different direction. And he said something publicly like, I know this won't stick, but it's going to buy us another 3 months while it's tied up in the courts.
Yeah.
Which is really, really crappy.
I mean, that just blatantly proves that they don't care about it.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so, that's happened. I can't remember what it was. I feel like it had something to do with ghost guns or, and I don't know that a lot of people actually realize that it's lawful to, I'm not an attorney, by the way. This is not legal advice. Everybody remember that, okay? But, you are allowed to create your own firearms for your own personal use.
Right.
Okay. So this idea that all firearms need to be serialized is baloney.
Yeah.
You can make an unserialized firearm at home if you have the means to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but what some manufacturers started doing was selling these things called 80% lowers, or, where basically they send you something that's not fully a firearm, but that you can easily, with kind of standard equipment you may have at home, finish it and make it into a firearm and assemble it.
Yes.
And because they're able to sell it as not a firearm, it's not serialized. Right. And so that's what they're calling ghost guns.
Yeah.
And again, I could be wrong of what that executive order was about, but I feel like it was something like that.
Okay.
And so, it is kind of it's an interesting question, right? Because, one, I would say it's unconstitutional. It shouldn't matter. I mean, we should not be asking our government for permission to own firearms, right? That flies in the face of shall not be infringed. And I know there's plenty of people out there that have all their arguments why that is. I'm just telling you what I believe and how I see it. But, the reality is we have finished firearms are serialized, and if, they're sold, they have to be sold with a serial number. But if you make it at home, you don't have to. So, this ghost gun has gotten into this kind of weird corner topic of, well, what makes a gun a gun? How finished does a firearm have to be, right? If I give someone a block of steel,
right,
and I sell you a block of steel, and I sell you a mill, and I sell you instructions, like, is that a ghost gun?
Yeah.
Right? Like how much, so what's the difference in that between like an 80% lower where I've taken that block of steel and I've done some stuff to it. It's still not a firearm.
Yeah.
And I give it to you, right? Again, with instructions on how to finish it a firearm.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed for anyone who's being, fair to the topic to say, well, if someone takes a raw block of steel and turns it into a firearm in their home, there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not a firearm.
Yeah.
So how much of that steel has to be milled out before it becomes a firearm?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what this kind of topic is all about, which is an interesting question.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a firearm if it doesn't have a firing pin even?
Yeah. Well, these are all stupid questions that, have been invented because we just can't seem to accept that shall not be infringed.
Yeah. So,
and I think it seems like maybe the manufacturers arrived at, and maybe there was some court help along the way that I'm unaware of, but right here, this 80% lower, right?
Yeah.
So it's an 80% finished frame. And then you finish the other 20% at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bad people are going to be bad people with or without.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, on this whole serialized topic, I mean, here's just a question I have for anybody who maybe happens to be listening to this and wants to chime in. If you can accept that the purpose of the Second Amendment is that the ultimate purpose of the Second Amendment is not about, hunting. It's not about those sorts of things, right? It is an additional check and balance of government.
Right.
Right. It is putting the means into the hands of the citizens to reel in their government should it turn on them and no longer have their best interest in mind. Okay, that is the purpose of it. And the Second Amendment doesn't actually call out guns, it calls out arms.
Right.
Right, which, would I would say is kind of any defensible means. And I would even go as far as to say, if that is the purpose of the Second Amendment, that, citizens should have no less of the tools in their arsenal than may be used on them by a government that has turned tyrannical and, has decided to off them for political reasons or whatever it is, right? Kind of abusing them. So if you can accept that that is the purpose of the Second Amendment, it is a check and balance on government, what sense does it make for government to be in any position to regulate those arms in the hands of citizens, because it is not a check and balance of government at that point.
Yeah.
Right? That's like what do they say, the fox in the hen house?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. To me, like, just breaking this topic down, like, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. That seems to make a lot of sense to me. I know there are plenty of people out there that will, they will very much dislike that I said that.
Yeah.
But I think that's the logical way to look at it.
Yeah.
That is why the amendment says shall not be in friends. They were not stupid when they wrote that.
Yeah.
Right? It makes sense. The government cannot interfere with your right for you to protect yourself from your own government should it become necessary.
Yeah.
So you're not going to argue with me?
No.
You agree with me. I know. Yeah. I need to get somebody in here that doesn't agree.
Yeah. Fresh out of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, by budget design, the government will always have more firepower than the general public anyways. I mean,
yeah, well, I know.
They really do have weapons of war.
Sure they do. I know. They like to say the AR-15 is a weapon of war, right? Well, at the end of the day, all weapons are weapons of war, right? It doesn't matter. At some point in history, rocks were weapons of war, right?
Well, I mean, they still are.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I think that is kind of the absurdity, because, I will say something like that, and then people will say, oh my gosh, so you want citizens to own nukes, right? Yeah. Or you want citizens to have surface-to-air missiles, or you want citizens to own jets and tanks and all these things. And I would say, I mean, under the letter of the Second Amendment, yeah, I mean, sure. I think that all falls under arms.
Well, can we buy a tank?
You can buy tanks.
I mean, can we buy a tank?
Oh, no, I'm not buying a tank. I got other stuff to spend money on.
Fine. It would be fun to drive it.
Yeah, it would be fun to drive it. But, what I will say is kind of reeling that back to a more reasonable conversation, right? Is like, so if that is the intent of the Second Amendment, that citizens can own, heavy arms like that, right? Mm-hmm. Why are we arguing about AR-15s?
Yeah.
That's like the bare minimum, right? Why are we arguing about that?
Because the people that want to make the gun laws don't actually understand the guns.
Yeah, or their goal is just disarmament of the civilians, right?
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But time and time again, the people that are trying to make the laws, like, they don't even understand the verbiage of the parts of the guns.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, they don't understand it. They're just like, guns bad.
Right.
Black scary gun extra bad.
Yeah. Brown ones.
Yeah, brown ones. Yeah, FDE. Yeah, so it's frustrating. It's very frustrating in the convoluted arguments, and it's just frustrating that, that like we as citizens, we have to spend our time and resources fighting these legislators on this topic because they do not care about the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
Whether they know it's unconstitutional or not, they pass these laws without any repercussions to themselves other than maybe they don't get elected again.
Yeah.
And then we spend years fighting it in court and giving our own money to organizations to help fight it in court, right? And it just rinse and repeat. And it's like, and you strike something down and they come back with something else. And
they're all benefiting from guns because Secret Service is all around them.
Yeah.
And
it's just the citizens, they don't want to have guns. Like, you suggest that the government give up guns. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, but if guns are good enough to protect you, why aren't they good enough to protect us? And as we've talked about on this podcast before, the police have no legal duty to protect you. Your government does not have a legal duty to protect you as an individual. Okay.
Yes.
So you are responsible for your own safety. And what on earth right does the government have to say that, well, for the people of government that we're protecting, we can use firearms. But for those of you who do not have the protection of government, you can't use firearms. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I immediately, when I see a legislator, try to make it harder for a citizen to keep themselves from being victimized, right? When they're trying to make it easier to victimize a citizen, that automatically, like, they are corrupt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's it. We don't have to take it any further. I know you're a corrupt person.
Yeah.
So, anytime you want the government you want yourself protected, right? I mean, that's what a tyrant does.
Mm-hmm.
And, forget about the people that aren't in government.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very frustrating. Yeah. What else?
What else? I don't know.
Okay. We beat up on the gun topic enough?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we've been going 45 minutes. That's pretty good. I guess let's wrap this one up. That's enough rambling for now. We got stuff to do.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Let's do stuff.
Yeah, we're going to do stuff. I'm going to take a soak in the hot tub.
Okay.
I'm going to do that. Yeah. You're not sounding so excited about that.
Do you want to talk more about guns?
What's wrong with the hot tub?
Yeah, I don't like water.
You make it sound like you don't like to sit in the hot tub with me.
No,
You're going to ruin
like
this,
water.
opinion that we have of this great marriage. And people are like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even want to sit in the hot tub with him.
That's not true. I do it.
Yeah. You don't like water.
No, water's
as
not my
stupid as that
favorite.
is. I don't understand it. It's absurd. It's a hot tub. But you can have this weird fear of water.
Yeah.
And like you're very uncomfortable in the water.
Yeah, I don't like
Even
it.
water you can stand in.
Oh,
Even like a hot tub that's clear. And you're just like, you get in there and you're just like, oh, the water's touching me.
Yeah, that's the face I make.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, let's go hot tub it.
Yeah, we'll hot tub it. All right. Well, thanks for listening in. And I don't know. We'll do this again in a couple days or not, or whenever we feel like doing it. Good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.